We're going live, brother.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Let's
Brother,
go.
Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to another Muslim Morning podcast. I'm yours, Ismail Howell, and we are here with our Ustaz Muawiyah Tucker. كيف حالك شيخ? How you doing?
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for having me again to rant again on your show, brother, for another
Brother,
Saturday.
your insight is
To have an
incredible,
old
brother.
man's moan.
Yeah, you could look at it like that, you
An
know.
old man's moan on
But
TV.
but your insight is special, brother. You got,
When my day, when I was younger.
It's about wisdom, brother. We're at the age where we're trying to impart wisdom and experience to the world. We're trying to leave a legacy of knowledge and experience, that the people in the past might
If you think about it, it's actually
might
interesting.
benefit from.
If you add on another 20, 30 years to our lives, inshallah, we'll be in our 70s, 80s.
Inshallah.
Therefore, we'll be able to impart, convey a next
level.
Next
Yes.
20, 30 years.
What's it like to be
next
in your 60s and 70s?
The funny thing, actually, in the past. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're in the past. The wisdom. One of the things we have going on. Hold on, the lights are too bright. One of the things we have going on is in the past. We would normally refer to our elders.
Yes.
Because our elders could teach us about the world.
Yes.
To the younger ones. One of the problems we have today is that the world is changing so much. The world of the younger ones is not even the same as the world of the older ones. So even the knowledge we convey isn't always exactly the same. Sometimes things are a bit different. So I think that's one of the. Hold on, if this is me, and I think it's this light. Sorry, my thobe has been blown out. It's just too
Go on,
bright.
do your thing, brother. Do your thing, brother. Do your adjustments. There does seem to be a bit of a lag.
Oh yeah, that does feel that way. Yeah,
there does seem to be a bit of a lag on the thing. But yes, is there a respect for the elders, their experience, their insight, or are the youngers on a different train, on a different road, different highway altogether? High speed life.
I mean,
what's it? You only live once and die trying. What's that saying?
I don't know.
Get rich or die trying or something.
Die trying. That's one of them.
Or something crazy like that.
So,
you only live once.
That whole heathenistic. That's all part of that heathenistic mentality of just do whatever you want to do and no accountability and so I mean that kind of lack of accountability, I would say. That's purely from shaitan. As don't think about the consequences of your actions because you only live once. Basically, that's which obviously us is for Muslim, and that's completely opposite. You have to look at your accountability of your actions because you don't only live once. That's the irony.
Yeah,
that's the irony. But you don't live once, which is why you must look at your actions of what you do.
But do you think this live fast mentality is a class thing, meaning the rich they go to certain schools, their probably main aim is to maintain their status, and that takes following a certain order. You go to certain schools, you have to be in a certain class, you have to have certain or do you go to certain parties or whatever? So they maintain a lifestyle to maintain riches. But if you live, like for example, poor people want what's the word they call it, this gratification thing, like, okay, I'm a poor man, but I'm gonna show I've got a Gucci belt, I've got Prada shoes, even though he's living off the dole, if you get what I'm saying. But is the kind of living fast mentality just like, is that more relative to the working class people where they want instant gratification, but those of the higher class who want to maintain their status, they have to have that kind of traditional learning, that traditional schooling in order to maintain their class. Does that make sense?
It does, but
because I'm saying that the working class who want to have trinkets of wealth and trinkets of happiness live that hard, fast life to get these things, and they will get it one day and lose it the next day. Get these what do you call it, labels, and think, yeah, I've made it, but the next day they're going to lose it. Those who are rich, if they want to maintain their wealth, they've got to go to certain schools. They have to behave in that bubble in order to maintain it. Because the worst thing for a rich person is to become poor. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think they're probably maintaining a steady lifestyle to maintain where they are, but yet the working class, or those people who are in the, you might call it not the ghettos, but in the ghettos, they live hard and fast, and they will get their bling one day, lose it the next. You get what I'm saying, or not?
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I see things a bit differently in the sense that it's all about knowledge.
Yes.
And ability. I mean, I don't see a person who is rich is inherently anything. He just acts upon the knowledge he has.
No, but his aim is to maintain, because I say the worst thing for a rich person is to become poor. So he's going to maintain, he's going to jump through whatever hoops he needs to maintain his status. A poor person, or some come from working class, who thinks he doesn't really have aims or objectives, is going to live that, well, get rich or die trying kind of attitude. Like, I ain't got nothing to lose, so I'm gonna do whatever I can to get these brands and these temporary things. And before you know it, he's lost again, or he's back in prison again, because he's tried to live that fast, you only live once type of attitude.
I mean,
is it a class thing?
I think the issue here I have is the use of the word, because when you mention the rich man and the poor man, no doubt there are people who behave this way, both from those who have wealth and those who don't have wealth.
Yes,
exist. I don't think that it's inherently due to the wealth why someone behaves that way, or due to poverty why someone behaves that way. As in, you could find someone who is inherently poor, but is very respectable, doesn't act that particular way of live down life whilst die trying, and vice versa with regards to someone who's rich. So I mean, definitely you'd find someone who does behave recklessly, who is poor, but you also find people who behave recklessly and they're rich. I mean,
yes,
there was I think something that was revealed the other day about Amber Heard and her parties that she used to have before Johnny Depp, her private parties with rich clientele, and it's the same kind of heathenistic nonsense. You can almost describe them as being reckless and taking a whole line of different kind of alcoholic beverages and drugs and acting wild, all that kind of stuff. Same kind of stuff. It's just that because they have money, they're able to enact these things more vividly and wildly, and someone probably hasn't, might have to struggle a bit to do so. But I just think that we shouldn't really pigeonhole human behavior down to necessarily what they have. Meaning, you can find someone who behaves one way, whether they're rich or they're poor, and it isn't.
Yes.
I don't feel that wealth or money makes a person become certain things. I think a person is a certain thing, and that they're able. It's just that they're able to do it because they have money. And it's like the hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he mentioned that there'll be one as to what the four people of types of people do their judgment. That be done those who Allah gave him knowledge,
yes,
and gave him righteousness. So gave him knowledge and gave him wealth, not righteousness. Gave him knowledge and gave him wealth, and he spent his money fi sabilillah. And there'll be one who Allah gave him wealth but didn't give him knowledge. Sorry, those ones who gave him knowledge but didn't give him wealth. So then he would say, if I only had the wealth of so and so, I would do X amount of good.
Yes.
And then the hadith so says, and these two are the same. And they have one who Allah gave him wealth, but Allah gave him wealth but didn't give him knowledge. So he would spend his wealth in all sorts of corruption.
Yes.
And fasad. And there'd be that one, the last type, the one who Allah didn't give him wealth and didn't give him knowledge. And he would say, if I only had the wealth of so and so, I would do X amount of sin. and both of these are the same. So what you find is that when it says that both of them are the same, what actually made them the same wasn't the money. It was what was in their head.
Yes.
One who...
Oh, you've crashed.
Whether they had money or not, acted or wanted to act, right? Whereas one who didn't know or didn't have the good in him, whether he had the money or didn't have the money, he would have done X amount of sin.
Yes.
So I think it's just more of a manifestation of what's inside than
what's in the heart of the person.
Rather necessarily what's to do with the amount of money they have. And I think that's one of the fallacies that us in the West we kind of think, is that we think that money makes something. And I think, especially if someone out there who's wants to establish deen, wants to practice deen, and then they manage to get a good job, they should really check themselves as they accumulate their wealth and as they grow themselves financially. How is this wealth affecting them in a way of, when I say affecting them, meaning has their behavior manifested differently? Meaning, because they now have the wealth, it's something that was already there that they didn't realize before surfacing, that they should check of themselves and bring it back into line. You know what I'm saying? For example, maybe when they were poorer, they weren't able to give charity as much as they wanted to.
Yes.
Or at all, really. But they felt in their head that if they did have money, they would. But now they do have money. They don't give charity, meaning that it wasn't to do with not having money. It just wasn't in them in the beginning
to give them money. Yeah. And
they need to recognize that, which is what all Muslims must do. All Muslims must, I guess all people really, but all Muslims must have self-reflection, must reflect on their action, reflect on their being, reflect on their character, how they interact with the wider community and their relationship with Allah, and always make muhasabah. That's a very important mention. Making that accountability of their actions is very important. If you find someone, or you find yourself even, no matter what goes on, it's always someone else's problem. It's always someone else's fault. It's never your fault. Always because of the government. Always because of the economy. Always because of my boss. Always because of my wife. Always because of my kids. If all of these things is always coming out your mouth, then you're not making muhasabah, because with every interaction in our lives, we have input.
Yes,
we have input.
Do we? So, maybe, are you saying Muslims we shouldn't be complainers?
No, there's no harm in. I mean, there's no harm in recognizing something that's not going right. And I guess that's type of internal complaint.
Yeah.
But the issue is the way I like to look at things is that a complaint, or a complainer, are those who are looking behind.
Yes.
Whereas someone who's doing something, a builder, are those who are looking ahead. They take the scenario how it is now, what they've got. They take their cards they've been dealt in the game, and try and look, how can I win this game? A complainer looks at how many games he's lost. It's forget this, I can't do anything more. I can't play this game anymore. Why is this happening? Why this guy here, he gets all the good cards? No, you look at the cards you've got. I've got a king, I've got a jack, I've got an 8, I've got an ace, I've got a 2, I've got a 5. I could do a run here, make the guy pick up 5. You know, I could do. I look at what I have and I see what I can achieve. And the whole moaning thing, it's debilitating. The moaning thing is debilitating. It can cripple you.
Big question: how do Muslims become optimistic? If you kind of look at the trials and tribulations that the Muslims go through, obviously we had the issue in Palestine recently, and every time that thing comes up on the news, it just gets you down as to what should the Muslims' reply be? How can we be optimistic in those kind of situations? And other things that happen to the Ummah on a daily basis. There's so many things. How can we be optimistic right now and understand that the future is for Islam?
So that part's easy. So optimism is a manifestation of a person's belief in Allah.
Mm.
Allah is one who decides. Allah is one
Mhm.
who creates and sustains and manages affairs.
Mhm.
So if you are in belief of that internally, then you know that whatever will happen is from Him. And if you want change to happen, it has to come from Him. And
Mhm.
if you want good in this life, or I should say, if you want good in the next, you have to do what He ordered you to do to get that.
Mhm.
And in doing that, you recognize also, because Allah is the one who decides, it may be the case that you personally won't get that good in this life. It just may be that you need to be tested and tried unto the end in such a manner. So that basically what I would say is that it becomes a manifestation of the meaning of Islam, which is submission. Submission isn't just about submitting to Allah's rules. Or I submit that I must pray 5 times a day, or I submit that I must fast Ramadan, or I submit that X, Y, Z. That's not the only meaning of submission.
Mhm.
Submission also means to accept and acknowledge what you've been given. I submit to this qada. I submit to this thing. And let me give an example of this mindset.
Mhm.
The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam conquered Mecca with the Sahaba. And then whatever happened. Some became Muslim and some didn't, and the rest of it. And then when it came down to the war booty, so at the end of all part of that, or the end of all of these things, after Tabuk even, at the end of all of this, the things were happening, and then war booty was given to whoever it was given to. And some of the old school Sahaba from back in the day were like, Ya Rasulullah, how come they're getting all the war booty? These guys who just come to Islam recently.
The new guys on the block, yeah?
Yeah, why are the new guys getting all this stuff?
Mm.
So we can see here that there's a bit of concern. What's happening here? Why? I mean, surely those who've been with you should be getting the rewards.
Mm.
And Mr. Allah replied to them saying, "Do you want? Are you upset with them getting the sheep and the cows, whilst I am the one who returning with you back to Mecca or back to Medina, I should say? As in, they are getting this dunya reward, which is almost nothing, and you're getting me, Messenger of Allah. You're getting the deen. You're getting support from Allah. You're getting direct source." And the Sahaba, upon hearing that, began to cry so much that their beards became filled with their tears, because they submitted. They recognized that it's not about what you want to happen. It's about full submission in this life to get what we want in the hereafter. That's basically it. You're submitting to what Allah described, prescribed for all of us. So it may be the case that some other guy's going to get the Mercedes and the Bentley and whatnot, but you got the Deen, you got Islam.
Yes.
You've got that in your heart and your actions. So are you not happy with the hereafter, with having shade on a day where there's no shade except Allah's shade, by passing over the Sirat, the bridge, quickly and up on the edge, by having your deeds weighed and having your deeds having the shahada on your scale of deeds, weighing the scales towards a positive. Are you not happy with that? But you still must have the house and the car and the watch and the
you know, it's I get you, but it's trying to see that of valuing Deen, valuing Iman on a daily basis, appreciating it, understanding it, and not being shook or not being how can I say unstable. Do you get what I'm saying? Because the pressures of the dunya, we're going to get tested. You might say, well, look at the Joneses, look what they have. I don't have. Social media. There's a lot of pressure to conform to society, to have these things. And we have to hold on to this rope of Allah and understand the value of the deen. And, it's difficult. We should appreciate it's difficult.
All tests are. All tests are difficult. They're supposed to be. Every test on planet Earth it's supposed to be difficult. Otherwise, it's not really a test. If
I think you're
I mean, just an
frozen.
example. Imagine you spent probably 2 years of your life doing some course, studying, revising, learning, memorizing, and then at the end of it, they give you a test paper, and the only question on the test paper is, "What's your name?" What kind of test is this? Even you'd be like, "What the heck?
Yeah.
That's just stupid." What was the point of that test then? A test is supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be
Yes.
it's supposed to weed out the chaff from the virtue, from virtuous, and that's basically what it is. So I mean, and the thing is, I don't mean to be dismissive, by the way, because I know some people might say, "Oh, but I know a friend of mine. He's a good brother or he's a good sister, and they struggled, and it was too hard for them, and the rest of it." And people feel bad about that.
What was too hard for them?
As in whatever trials that they went through in their life, whatever situation was, and they fell off the, whatever it gets to be, and people feel bad for them.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, we can't judge a person's hereafter. That's a fact. So we don't know what their end result will be.
Yes.
But at the same time, we can't make excuses for other people's actions, considering that those excuses are not even valid, or generally speaking, not even valid Yawm al-Qiyamah. As in, a person who came to Islam, learned about Islam, and was tested, and then fell off Islam completely. That if that excuse is a valid excuse, that's basically excusing kufr.
Yes.
It's excusing the test. That's belittling the test. The whole point of the test is that those who pass, and those who fail. And we believe as Muslims, Allah does not oppress anyone. Allah does not oppress a single soul. If Allah is just. So if a person came to Islam and then at some point left Islam entirely, you can never, ever look at the test and say the test is unfair. That's basically saying, well, I think Allah just judged them too harshly. No, not at all.
No.
We submit to the decree, and we submit to the circumstances Allah has given us, and this is it. If this person had a genuine excuse, then Allah will acknowledge that excuse, and they will be judged accordingly. But we can't now stand and say, "Oh, this person is suffering so hard and so difficult." Allah does not put a person beyond what they can bear or what they can handle. That's
but
should
you have a
back to the issue
mind
of the dunya? Go on.
I'm saying, should you have a mindset that this life or this period of life we have, how no matter how long it is a testing ground. It's not about fun. Like we might think, I'm gonna enjoy myself as much as I can. I'm gonna party. 100%. I'm gonna buy my clothes. I'm gonna go out. Or some person might say, well, look at these other guys, so non-Muslims, having so much fun, and I'm always praying. I'm always fasting. I want to get a bit of that. So sometimes I think it's not what
we're here for.
That's not what we're here for. So we have to live in that bubble, that thing of we're here for a short period of time, and we have to be busy in worship and try not to be distracted and try not to look at the Joneses so much.
Busy at worship, and also knowledge. And when I say knowledge, I mean busying ourselves with taking in to our nourishing our brains and our minds with information that leads to acceptance. Meaning, you might be afflicted with the desire to have what the Joneses have. So therefore, the cure for you is to recognize and learn to yourself what happens to people who have, or how this wealth and this stuff means nothing Yawm al-Qiyamah. We can say, okay, I wish I had a Tesla, I wish I had this, but then again, Fir'aun had all these things, and Haman had all these things, and Allah had all these things, and it didn't help them at all. As Allah mentions plenty of times in the Quran, how what they had didn't benefit them at all. That some of these nations, أشد منكم قوة, they were stronger than you. They had more awlad than you, more children than you, more wealth than you. But فأخذهم الله بذنوبهم, but Allah took them to account for their sins. And this only comes through constant reflection. The message Allah gives us to reflect upon, and that's what I think as Muslims really fall short. You hear me?
Yeah, you're back now. Yeah.
We really fall short in this one, which is what's it called? The reflection on the Quran, reading the Quran and reflecting on the meaning of the Quran. Because I'm telling you, if a person is reading the Quran on a daily basis and reflecting, even if you just reflect on 2 or 3 ayahs a day, every day reading 2 or 3 ayahs, what does Allah tell them? And learning
that's enough to straighten you up, yeah.
I believe so. Why not? That's what the Quran has given us. That's what the Quran is here for. The Quran is to straighten this.
Yes.
That's why reciting the Quran on a daily basis is so important, because it's here to straighten this. We're constantly reading about people in the past. We're constantly reading about for example, the man of the bustan of the field, who had the whole field. He said, this is gonna give me what I want. And it did say, mashallah, and it came. And Allah brought down the bats, destroyed the field.
Yes.
By the next day, it was gone. That's a reminder for all of us that no matter what you have right now, it is only temporary. Every one of us has that field. Every one of us has that field that we are impressed with. Is it, mashallah, I've got this field. And at any moment, Allah can take that field from you. Allah can take your wife from you. Allah can take your children from you. Allah can take your car from you, your job from you. Anything Allah that you have, that you think you're impressed with, Allah can just take it from you at one moment due to your own ghafla, your own heedlessness or forgetfulness. And we have to deal with that. You have to reflect upon that. Look at the story of Ayub and what Allah tested him with. The thing is, sometimes when people talk about stuff, and again, I don't mean to be a grumpy old man. I sound like a grumpy old man.
No, this is wisdom, brother. This is wisdom. This is old age and wisdom, brother.
But it does irritate me sometimes. And I hear people complaining about certain things. I'm like, but you haven't even been tested properly yet. Not really. I mean, like you mentioned a minute ago about Palestine. Bro, does any of us in the West have any idea what it's like to live in Palestine? Your only passport, your only citizenship, or your only identity is as a Palestinian in Gaza. That's all you have. There is literally almost no escape from that prison.
From prison, Gaza. Why, man,
and we want to complain that Boris is blah 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 and NHS is blah blah blah. Oh my gosh. Is that the plight of you that's your moan? Or that, oh, my wife said this to me the other day and how dare she say such a thing? I mean, come on. What I'm saying is if we really think about the test that we go through, especially in the West, bro, we have ni'mah upon ni'mah upon ni'mah. We should cry, because the Sahaba used to be worried about people who have continuous ni'am.
You know,
what they call it is istidraj.
Sorry to cut you.
Basically, you're gone.
Sorry to cut you. That point there of seeing the blessings is a ni'mah in itself. Because as you said, people, I think ungratefulness, or this thing is kufr, comes in when you don't realize the blessings you have. It's like you might look at the Joneses, and the Joneses might be mash up. You get what I'm saying? They might be, I don't know, but some people they're tested with children that are disabled. Sometimes they're tested with, as I said, they lose their wives. And that in itself might drive them to kufr and drive them to disbelief. But that having that veil lifted off you, where you can, on a daily basis, you wake up and you appreciate every single thing you have. It might be just a meal. You might just look at your plate of food and say, SubhanAllah, look at that. Look what I have in front of me. Half the people on the planet will never have that plate of food that you have. Do you get what I'm saying? But we can't see it. Some people can't see it. Some people might have a beautiful house, beautiful wife, and still be ungrateful. Still not see it.
Gratitude is one of those things, bro. If you don't have gratitude in this life for the things you have in this life, how could you possibly be grateful to Allah for everything that you have? Gratitude is and this, like I said, just look at something as simple as husband and wife. And I mention this often because I get sometimes these messages. Although I don't get them as much anymore, because I've got to the stage where I don't entertain them as much as I used to. But people say, "Oh, my husband is like this, and my wife is like that," and I sometimes think to myself, "But you actually have a husband and wife." Do you know how many people who are in their 40s and 50s and 60s, and they don't have anyone? And because of their age, it is almost impossible they're going to find someone. So they have to live out their days alone. I mean,
tough.
some say, "Oh, I'd rather be alone than be with this man." Okay, if that's how you're gonna be, and how you're gonna talk, then don't talk to me. But and that's not actually that's another thing as well. I would say as an advice for us is that we as Muslims, one of the ways of being more positive is distancing yourself from people who are negative.
Yes.
If you find one of your friends or your family members are always negative, bro, that negativity is a contagion. Bro, you thought COVID was bad, bro.
Yeah.
As in, you can advise them, but don't take them as a close batana, as a close friend, because that negativity will come upon you. And they will be negative about you, they'll be negative about the others. That negativity is a contagion, bro. We need to be around positive people, giving positive vibes, reinforcing each other. This is what's called batana salih, a good companion, a good friend. Those who when you are down, when you are falling short, they've got your back by saying, bruv, don't be so bad, man. Don't be as bad as yourself. You've got healthy children. Your children, they're educated. They've got good jobs. They've got this. They've got that. They remind you of the good things that you have in this life. This is the kind of friends you want. You don't want those who when you're down, yeah, the world is so bad, England's so bad, Boris is so bad, you're bad, he's bad, the council's bad, everything's
gas
bad.
prices, utility prices are bad.
Gas prices, utility prices are bad. The rich man, Jeff Bezos, whatever is people have rich man, it's all their fault, and capitalism and blah blah. That's that. You thought you were bad before you met them. Imagine how you're gonna be after the conversation with them, bro. You're gonna feel like there's no escape. You want someone who's gonna uplift you and say, bro, you think it's bad today, you still have tomorrow. The fact you have tomorrow
Inshallah.
is something to be happy about. Inshallah, it's something you should be happy about. That you have and you have the opportunity to get up and try again.
Yes.
You have the opportunity to get up and try again. And we say as Muslims, قدر الله ما شاء فعله. قدر الله ما شاء فعله. So yeah, I think that there's many things one can do to improve this life. But again, not take. Or another way of saying it, don't take this life so seriously. Meaning, if bad happens, it ain't that bad. The only real bad that happens is if your akhirah is destroyed. That's when things are really bad.
Yes.
So your car got hit, you scratch your Bentley, blah blah blah. It ain't that bad. But as for you committed a major sin, from the major sins is kufr al-ni'mah. That's terrible. That's really terrible. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that people complain about, but. Well, here's another one. I'm gonna drop the controversy.
Go on, drop it, brother. Drop it, brother.
Controversy.
Drop it.
I only mentioned because this is like one of those subjects which it's it's like that smack on that wound you've got that's very sensitive. It's like of all the places you could hit, you had to hit that one wound on my arm.
Brother, remember we're trying to impart wisdom here, brother. Yeah.
So woman, she's married for her husband many years.
Yes.
Good life, good children. And then my man decides to get another wife. Vexation. Yeah, even you're breathing deeply. You're breathing heavily. Like, what the heck? Vexation, shouting, how dare you? How could you? Betrayal. Where's the loyalty? Blah blah blah. Where's the silver lining in this scenario?
Go on.
He still kept you. He's still married to you. If he wanted to, he could have divorced you and still had just one wife. Why? That scenario is still a ni'mah and a blessing that his husband is still keeping you as a wife.
Someone just left, as you mentioned that, someone just left the room, but anyway, it's probably not related. Go on. No problem.
But that's the point though, bro. I'm just saying that is the point. The point is there is a blessing in almost every scenario that one needs to look for and how one can better their viewpoint in life. Yeah, I no longer have my husband to myself, but at least I have a husband.
Yes.
Yeah, I no longer have 5 children, but at least I have 4. Yeah, I no longer have my brand new car, but at least I have my legs. I mean, there's so many things you can look at life.
Yes.
In a positive. I can't think of even a scenario whereby you have nothing and there's nothing to be looked positive on. I can't think of it. I mean, even look at Bilal radiallahu anh.
No.
In the desert. and his master at the time put a rock on his chest,
Mm.
what was the positive thing that was coming out of his mouth? Ahad.
Ahad. He knew Allah was one.
That was the
knew that.
positivity. He was
Yaqeen.
focusing on that yaqeen, that surety that this rock is in my chest and it's burning my chest. But there is positivity still in the world. I still
Allah
have
is
Allah.
one. No. That's like just
I'm
you
telling
got
you, man,
nothing
we're
but
a
you.
bunch of moaners. We're a bunch of moaners. And I think because we're Brits, we have, because we have so much ni'mah, we moan so much. I'm telling you, bro, when you go abroad and you see their Brits abroad, bro, they moan, man. Us Brits, we moan so much. I was coming on a plane the other day and one English guy was moaning about his seat. Why is sitting next to someone else? Don't you know it's COVID on my own seat? I'm like, bro, just sit yourself down, man, and just enjoy the fact that you actually caught the plane. No one's dead in this place, but everyone.
Or you know, sometimes
cool.
like don't complain about the seat. Just pray that you make it home. You make it because when I'm on a plane, I'm thinking. I think to myself, how is this thing in the air, brother? I think about the engine turning around, the fuel going into the engine. I'm thinking, do you actually understand what's happening while you're 50,000 feet in the air? I don't care about the seat. I don't care about the food. I'm just praying that I reach home. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah. It's how okay.
There's so much ni'mah. There's so much ni'mah.
Okay, you mentioned a bit about the Quran and reading the Quran to be able to see those ni'mah, see those blessings. Is it something which you think this is something we're neglecting? The reflection and sitting down on a day. Okay, we pray 5 times a day and we do our sunnahs or whatever, but to reflect about our real state of affairs and Allah's blessings upon us. Do you think this is a big thing that we are neglecting?
Definitely. I mean, like I said, I don't know. It's. I mean, at the end of the day, the premise of life is the test. Test means difficulty, so expect that. Actually, I'm not sure if I mentioned this on this show, but I've mentioned it many times in other scenarios. One sister came in here, and she was discussing some stuff and having a bit of a moan about some stuff, and then she mentioned that ever since she come to Deen as a practicing, so ever since then her life has been difficult, always trial and tribulation that she never had before. Why is this happening to me all the time after now becoming practicing? And I said to her, why do you think Islam is here to make your life easy?
Yes.
And brother, as soon as I finished that sentence, she burst out in tears, crying. She couldn't understand. As she wasn't expecting me to say that. She was expecting me to say, no, life will be better, blah, blah. And I said, no, Islam is even here to make your life easy. Islam is here to test you, brother. We know, as part of the Sunnah, this life is a prison for a Muslim and a paradise for the kuffar.
Yeah.
Paradise for them because they can do what they like. And a prison for us because we have a whole list of rules and regulations of things we can't do. It's not meant to be easy. It's meant to be difficult. And if you feel hardship, that's actually a good sign that you've been tested. I'm telling you, man, this idea, people don't recognize this idea of being tested. It's almost as if there is no such thing as a test. I mean, even the idea that people moan about, oh, my benefits has been cut.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another one. Oh, my benefit has been cut. Why the benefit being cut? It's so unfair.
Yes.
What do you mean? You're still getting free money, although and you just said being cut means getting less. You're still getting free money.
Yeah, as I said, if you reflect on what's happening across the border, then you will be quiet. Like people,
bro, you think man in the Congo jungle gets benefits when he can't find the food he wants to capture for the day? That government's gonna sweep in and give him money, bro. People can go to the government and say, look, I've been kicked out of my house, and they have to house you. So there are people there's a place in California where you can drive for probably almost an hour in a straight line, and just rows and rows and rows and rows of people sleeping in the streets,
homeless,
in tents,
homelessness,
homeless, nothing there for them. We at least have a house. I think I even heard someone mention the other day someone was given housing, and when she got the house, she was complaining that there's no furniture. Oh, what? You're moaning about no furniture and you have a roof over your head. What?
Mm.
I'm telling you, Akhi, it's something that should make us cry. What are we moaning about? We have so much ni'mah. We're not. But it's almost, it reminds me of those TV shows where they have those rich kids say, "Mummy, why does Johnny get so and so? I want that one as well, Mummy." And he goes, "Okay, Johnny, here you go." And Johnny gets everything Johnny wants. And is that how we become? We become Johnny. we become Johnny.
We become
That
Johnny.
child who moans because his friend got and I never got. It's it reminds me. I give a story about myself because it's good to laugh at yourself as well. When I was young, I don't know how old I was. I was probably about 5 or 4. I don't know how old I was. I was young. And my mum gave me a birthday party, as you do. And my friends came round and blah, blah, blah. And we had a pass the parcel game, obviously, as you do at birthday parties. And, music stops, you unwrap, and then music starts again, and it goes around again. Anyway, it turns out that one of these gifts in the parcel, one of my friends got it. That's the game, innit? You win. I was so upset. I was crying, stamping my feet. I ran and locked myself into the kitchen. My mum had to come and talk me out of the kitchen. Now, in reflection, what the heck are you crying about? You have a birthday party that was done for you. You don't even have to have a birthday party for you. And you're moaning about the one thing inside the party.
Yes. Yeah.
This is what I think we are as Muslims when we moan about certain things. We are the one kid in our own birthday party with our friends at our birthday party with food and drink around the birthday party, and we're moaning about the one present we never got in the past parcel that you don't need. It's not even yours in the first place.
Yes.
We're moaning that we never got to have this one. As someone mentioned the thing, as someone mentioned in the comments. Perfect ayah. Again, that's one ideas of reflection in the Quran. If you was to enumerate all the blessings that Allah's given you, you're not gonna enumerate.
Yes. I mean,
this is part of being a Muslim. Part of being a Muslim is recognizing that.
Yeah, there is an issue of not complaining. Like for example, we discussed the issue of plunder and how the wealth of the nation of the world is being plundered by the elites, and they're sucking money out of the economy. Our utility bills are doubling, while these utility companies are making billions. Like within the first quarter, they're making 4 billion profit. Should I complain about my gas bill, or should I just say, Alhamdulillah, I can afford it? I've got gas. It's going to be a little bit tight, Alhamdulillah. Or should I say, right, why are these people teething our money? Why are these people telling us it's because of the price of the wholesale gas? Well, if that's the case, why are your profits still doubling? Do you get what I'm saying? So there must be room to complain about society and the social ills and do something about it, because we still want change. We still want better.
Yeah.
There's one thing. Okay, wanting to have a better car and complaining about the car that you have, and the wife wanting 10 holidays a year and whatever. There's that issue, but on the other side, there's room for complaint, and complaining may not necessarily be ungratefulness for your situation.
Yeah. So on the flip side, to balance this conversation, then, so we just mentioned about essentially what we could summarize in saying that what we discussed before is a discussion of acceptance of the scenario and situation that you've been given. But now what you're saying here is, okay, but do we have to accept necessarily what we have, or can we raise our voices to make change? And it's another part of the discussion, because trying to make change, trying to raise your voice doesn't necessarily mean that you are ungrateful. So for example, a wife telling a husband, why you always spend your time with your friends and not spend time with your family? Don't you think you should spend time with your family and your kids as much as you spend time with your friends? He may say, woman, why be so ungrateful? You have a roof over your head, don't you? You have food on the table, don't you?
Yeah.
So is she really being a complainer, or is she really just asking for, or advising, or trying to enact change?
She wants her rights.
Which she can do.
She wants her rights, probably.
Yeah. So all that I've said before is not to negate that. It's not to negate that. What I would say is that all that I've said before is a reflection of things that cannot be changed, things that one must accept. So if you wanted to be as rich as Jeff Bezos, and you just can't be as rich as Jeff Bezos, then you have acceptance. But if you can make a change, for example, you can file a complaint with your boss about one of your colleagues, and you can file a complaint against so-and-so who spoke badly to you unreasonably or treating you badly in the housing department or whatnot. There's nothing wrong in trying to enact change. And again, this is the part of the only caveat I would say here is to have the forward thinking mentality and not the backward thinking mentality. So there's a mode of complaining which doesn't do anything. There's a mode of complaining which doesn't do anything. Nothing manifests from that. That's essentially what I'm speaking about against prior to this part of the conversation. But as for speaking about something that does something, then, for example, in Allah in the Quran, وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَكُمْ تَفَسَّحُوا فِي الْمَجَالِسِ فَافْسَحُوا يَفْسَحِ اللَّهُ لَكُمْ. If it said to you, make room in the majlis, then make room, Allah make room for you hereafter. وَإِذَا قِيلَ انشُزُوا فَانشُزُوا. And if it said, stand up and do X, Y, Z of good, فَانشُزُوا, get up and do that which you've been called to the good. Meaning, if someone comes to the masjid and says, brother, yeah, Ikhwan, this family just come to some hardship. Let's do a little whip round and try and gain some money, put some money together to help them out because they're in need. Or Ikhwan, there's a sister who's struggling to pay her bills, and it's something minor for all of us collectively, but it's a major thing for her if we can help, possibly make some ease for her. This is not a complaint or a form of complaining. This is a form of trying to do something when one can actually do it. And this is another thing which I would say a manifestation of this would be the hadith. Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyiru biyadihi. Whoever sees an evil, then change it with his hands. فَإِنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِلِسَانِهِ. And if he's not able, then do it with his tongue. فَإِنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِقَلْبِهِ وَذَلِكَ أَدْنَى الْإِيمَانِ. And if you're not able to do it even with your tongue, then at least hate it in your heart, and that is the lowest of iman. So if you look at the hadith though, it's giving you part of the formula. If you change it with your hands, but if you cannot, then use your tongue. But if you cannot, then hate it. Just because you have a tongue doesn't mean you must talk, because you only use your tongue where change can be enacted. If change cannot be enacted, then hate it with your tongue and move on. What I dislike seeing is if someone just uses their tongue and no way trying to enact change. They're not trying to enact change, and this is where you find ghiba comes into play. Ghiba, where you talk, for example, imagine someone's doing X amount of evil. Someone's doing something wrong.
Yes.
So in a gathering, and you talk to this person. So you're in a gathering, you're talking about this person doing. Hold on a minute, bro. There's someone on the phone. Hold on, my daughter's calling for some reason. I'm not sure why. So.
No, you want to take the call?
Bro, give me a second to open the front. No, someone's at the front door. Get open the front door. Give me a sec.
No problem. One second.
Sorry about that. My daughter came to the front door. So what was I just saying? Yeah. So so this person's doing X amount of evil. So you get in a little gathering and you start talking about, oh, this person is so bad. They did this, they did that, they did this, they did that. Blah blah blah. How could they do that? Blah blah blah. Okay. Why are we discussing this? Why are you mentioning what this person has done? What change are you trying to enact?
Oh, we're frozen again.
Because if you're not, now it's can you hear me? See?
You just cracked. You just repeat that again. Sorry. Say that again. Sorry.
So you're in a gathering and you're discussing with everyone in the gathering. This person, they did this, they did that. They said this, they said that, and blah 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 blah. So you're talking about things.
Yes.
What change are you trying to enact in this discussion? What thing are you trying to do by discussing this thing? Because if you're just discussing it for the sake of discussing it, you're not enacting change. You're not trying to يغير بيدي or بقلبي or change something with your arm, your tongue or whatnot. You're just having a moan.
Yes.
And this is what I'm essentially. This is one of the things I'm hoping to tap into. This issue of just having a moan. We do all the time. I'll give you one example. I was with one brother, Hadahullah, and we was at a masjid in Medina, and a guy came out of the masjid, and he was wearing some jeans. So the brother goes, look at that guy, man. Those tight jeans, man. It's fun. Like, it's so terrible, man. It's just muscular, and his jeans like leggings. So I turned to him. I said,
"That's
what was the point of mentioning that? Are you trying to enact a change or warn against an evil or something?"
Yes.
And then he thought about it and he goes, "No, you're right. There's no point in mentioning that."
Yes.
That's an example of a moan. Well, actually, it's an example of ghiba even. But
yes,
if you wanted to enact change, what you should have done, as in to enact the hadith, change it with your tongue, would be to approach him.
Yes, and give him advice.
Draw him aside and advise him about his jeans.
Yeah.
Or go to one of his friends or his relatives, pull them aside, tell them, "I saw your friend, your brother, your cousin wearing these jeans is inappropriate." If you can speak to him, give him advice. That's changing something with your tongue. So you're doing something, you're doing a complaint, you could say.
Yes.
But in a manner that enacts change. You're not just complaining for the sake of complaining. And this is where I want people to understand the caveat, the difference between the two. Say in regards to, for example, a wife or a husband. They're telling it, that's a classic one. That's a classic one, actually. That's a classic one. A guy goes to his mate. "Oh, today my wife, she did this, she did that. I can't believe she did that. She's terrible and blah, 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 blah."
Yeah.
Okay. You told your friend, you vented. Is your friend now going to go to your wife and tell her X, Y, and Z? Was that the intent of your conversation? No.
But he just needs to let out his frustration, innit? He needs someone to confide in.
That's the thing. That's the thing. He doesn't need to do any of that, brother. That's the point. He doesn't need to do anything. You know, it's like me seeing a guy have some bad news, and then because of that bad news, he starts punching the walls, breaking the furniture, destroying property, and say, "Oh, brother, let him do what he needs to vent his anger." No, he doesn't need to destroy property to vent his anger. He needs to control himself.
Yeah.
Do wudu, sit down. You know, pray 2 rak'ah. Do other things to vent your frustration. And back to the issue of the guy, rather than complain to your friend about it, talk to your wife about it. Write a letter. Take her somewhere, book an Airbnb somewhere nice, and as you're looking at the horizon, the sunset, you drop it on her and say, "Look, by the way, I'm not happy with this man's head." as you're giving her a nice little view, and she's appreciating it, then you go, bang, you said this to me the other day, I'm not happy with it.
Oh,
you know, there are things we can do. My point is, you can, all that I said before does not negate your right to voice your grievance.
Yes.
But to do so in a manner that tries to resolve that grievance. Otherwise, complain to Allah. Do 2 rak'ah. In your sujood, in your dua, tell Allah your problems. Ask Allah for relief in your problems. Because that's an example of believing your grief. Also seeking change. Telling me is not going to change anything. Telling your mate's not going to change anything. Making a YouTube video to the world about your spouse not doing this, not going to fix anything. But telling Allah and asking Allah for relief is something that enacts change.
Yeah,
and
that's a key point in seeking help in an issue, that you take it to Allah first, then you may complain to a human being. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if we're always going to a human being, then we kind of miss
the seek help with patience and in salah. So you're having patience with circumstance, and you're seeking help by praying to Allah.
Yes.
With worship and ibadah. These are the things they have. But back to the first thing you mentioned before, actually, about the issue of plunder. Because that was kind of the topic of our discussion anyway. So, I mean, the reasons, I mean, for example, there are lots of things happening in the world. Lots of things happening in the world. And the vast majority of it, we cannot change. I can't change the outcome of the American election. I can't. However, I can act on the news. I can act on the circumstances and try and find avenues to better my situation. So you can say something like, okay, due to the economy in America and blah blah blah, I can see that this is going to be useful. For example, I mean, like, you know, you can take advantage of the situation that appears to you and try and move forward with that situation. So, for example, looking at one of the things you can do is, okay, look, the Western countries, it seems as though economically speaking, they're on a downturn. So, am I going to sit here and moan about how the economy in the West is going to get worse and worse and worse, or can I can use the information and make a decision? Okay, if the NHS is so bad and this is so bad and that is so bad, maybe I can just go where it's better. Something as simple as that. Something simple as looking at this. I can't improve the NHS. I can't fix the NHS.
Yes.
None of us can do anything to bring the NHS to what it used to be if it was even good in the first place. What you can do is act upon that knowledge that it isn't great anymore and make a change. Make effort, act. And this is what I'm trying to get to. I want people to stop moaning
and do something
and start doing.
You know, the fact that this
it could be a case of just getting health insurance. If you are in a state where you really fear for your health, then you may need to spend some of your wealth for your health. Considering that the whole of your life you never did that. Healthcare was free for you up until recently. So maybe to preserve your wealth, you may have to spend your money for that purpose and accept it for what it is, because you're not going to fix NHS. You're not going to do anything about it. Or if you can fix NHS, then do it then.
Yeah, you know the fact that the ummah is supposed to be the ummah to wasata, that we're supposed to be the best ummah because we're enjoying what is good and we forbid that which is wrong.
Yeah,
that means in reality that we're people who are active in the community, trying to enjoy the good, whether it be feeding people, whether it be helping out the elderly, you know, praying, fasting, being a good, positive community in society. We should be an example of, you know, piety, etc., etc. That will mean, yeah, okay, well, yeah, we are against LGBT in schools. We are against, we are for a living wage. Like, people should be getting paid more so they can pay their bills. Like, it means all of these things because we're standing up for that which is wrong. And then we want to forbid, you might say, the harms that are carrying on society. So we are going to be people that are going to complain, but we're not complaining about the qadr. We're not complaining that, I can't buy myself a BMW car because my wages are not high enough. Do you get what I'm saying? There is a balance between complaining for wanting a better society, a more righteous society, but yet not being ungrateful that, you know, there's people across the border who are dying to get into the UK. Do you get what I'm saying? It's a it's a difficult balance that people say, okay, I understand why you Muslims are standing up and complaining. It's because you want to improve society. It's not because you're being ungrateful. Because it's true, like as I mentioned last week, you know, the indigenous people might say, well, if you don't like it, mate, go back to your own country, mate. You get what I'm saying? Like, they want, at the same time, they want foreigners to be grateful that they're in the UK, which we say, alhamdulillah, Allah created us here and gave us the blessings that we can see. But still, there needs to be improvement. And how can the Muslims have that balance in the society?
So back to the issue again. No, I'm not against making effort to rally people to do good, like the ayah says. So there's nothing wrong in what's it called? Trying your best to fix a social good or social ill. I should say not social good, social ill. Nothing wrong in doing that. However, we have to actually do that. So that means if there is something, okay, let's you mentioned the topic of the issue of schools. Okay, we may moan that our schools are trying to push LGBTQ plus 1 to 8 free to our kids. Yeah. But how many of us who have our kids in schools have actually done anything about it? Whether it be writing letters to whoever we write letters to, whether it means taking our kids out of our schools and finding better schools. How many of us have done actually anything about it beyond just moaning? This is what I'm trying to get. My point is, there's nothing wrong in having a moan. If the aim is to get something done, so you can say, look, you can. As an example, you're dropping your kids off to school. The other parents there, you talking to them, having a moan. What's your intent? You want to get them to do something. So basically, you know what it is? It's like a call to action. It's like you put all this money investing in making an advert for your product, and at no part of that product advert, you say to someone, buy the product.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you ever watched Apprentice. I remember watching that years ago, long time ago when it first started, Alan Sugar. And one of the things that always kept coming is that they'll do all these fancy adverts.
Yeah.
And then there's nothing in there which says the price, buy it, where you can get it. There's no call to action.
Yeah.
There's no call to action. It's just, this product is so good. Okay.
So you just complain for complaining's sake, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. So they should, if you're gonna talk to other parents, this was happening, it's up in our schools, blah, 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 that's a moan.
Yeah.
At some part of that conversation, you say, okay, I think we should write a letter. I think we should campaign. I think we should protest. I think we should X, Y, Z. That's actually doing something to enact change rather than just having a moan, oh, schools are so bad and look what they're saying now and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We might need to actually do something. It could even be something as telling someone else who can enact change. So I can't enact change, but I know this guy can. So I'm going to go to him and tell him, this is what's happening. Don't worry about it, leave it off. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm trying to get, is that we need to be as Muslims where we're proactive in doing something and not just venting. Venting doesn't do anything. Just do something. So, for example, one last example. Husband, his wife is not doing what she's supposed to be doing. She's falling short in many, many things. A whole long list of things that she's falling short in.
Yeah.
So he can go to his mate and say, bruv, this is what she's not doing. Blah, long list. Okay, now you've done that. What's the point of that conversation? I just want to vent. Okay, you wasted your time. You shouldn't do that. Okay, start again. Tell his friend she's not doing X, Y, and Z. What's the point of that? What's the point of the conversation? I want to ask my friend for advice. I want him to give me things I can do to make the change. I'm seeking rectification.
Rectification of the situation.
Through gathering wisdom, through mashura, seeking shura. That's fine.
Yeah.
The difference is one was having a moan and the other one is not having a moan.
Seeking the solution.
One's trying to fix. That's why if you look at the Imam, I think Imam Nawawi's Suyuti's not Suyuti, Shawkani's breakdown of the types of ghiba, backbiting that's allowed. One of them, or basically all of them, is backbiting that leads to rectification. Going to a judge, moaning to the judge about your plight so he can do something about it. Moaning to other people to rally them up to do something about it. The fact that a major sin of backbiting has been relegated to not being a sin because you want to do something about it is what we're saying here. If you're going to open your mouth and have a moan and a whinge, it has to have a motive of doing something about it.
Yes.
And the only caveat I would add to that one thing here is it has to be in a manner whereby something can be done about it.
Yes.
Because people often say when they moan, they say, "Oh, I'm trying to make change." Bro, you're trying to make change with people who can't make change. So that's not doing something about it. Telling some guy on the train you just met how bad your life is not enacting change. The guy doesn't know you. He just met you, and you just haven't went up on a rant about your life. He's not able to do anything. Again, unless you want his advice, and that's up to you. If you want advice from a stranger, that's up to you. One point is there's a line between moaning to just get something off your chest and just to backbite, and moaning to get genuine advice from someone who is known to give virtuous and good advice, or not someone who can actually speak to them or enact change. So again, you've got problems with your sibling. You go to your mum or your dad, and you grass them up basically. This is what they're doing. You're having a moan. Why? Because you want your mum or your dad to enact change. Mummy, he's doing this one. Yeah, well, look what he's doing. He's taking away my toys and blah blah. What? That's not a moan. That's going to someone of authority to enact change. That's not what I'm speaking against. I'm speaking against those who just have a moan for the sake of having a moan. But yeah, so that's. So yeah, back to that's to conclude, because we kind of went way off the title of the talk about it.
But I think we touched on something which is really important, and that is
it is very important. It is very important.
Is gratitude.
The issue of I will conclude on how we can further this discussion next week. On the same topic of plunder, is that we are in a situation, not just we as in us in the West or UK, but we as planet Earth, human beings, Muslims.
Yes.
Whereby people who have wealth, people who enact or affect policies, people who have influence in the world are using their power, wealth, and influence to further their power, wealth, and influence.
Yes. Yeah.
And there seems to be the case whereby they're not using any of their wealth, power, and influence, or for the most part, to help mankind as a whole. It seems to be just to help the balance sheet, to help shareholders, to suck the money out of us.
Yeah.
So therefore, we, rather than just highlight this stuff and moan about this stuff, we need to do something about this stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe next week we can discuss how and ways that they suck the money from us, and what can we do to enact those change, to rather than just moan about it, just do something about it.
Yeah.
How can we do something about it? Or can we do anything about it? Or is it just something we just accept it? Is it the case, brother, we just accept it? We just accept the fuel prices and we just accept this and that and the other? Or can we do something about it?
I mean, this is the point which always is on my mind. What is the role of the Muslims in the West or in the UK or in our society or in our locality? Do we have a role to play? Our ethics, our morals, our worldview, how can that improve society without people thinking, oh, you guys just moaning, give thanks for what you got? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, you know, like, should we be grateful about what we have while we complain about, you know, gas bills and, you know.
But I mean, even what you just said there, what our role is in society, that is essentially a manifestation of what we just mentioned a minute ago. If Muslims do have a role to play in the wider environment, in the society we live in and the country we live in, that by necessity, by virtue of that statement, means we have to be people who do something.
Do stuff. Yes. Yeah.
And it's only the people who don't do and just moan are the ones who don't have a role in society or don't enact any role in society. If we do acknowledge that Muslims have a role in society, a role to play, a part to play, that means by virtue of that, we have to actually be able to do something.
Stuff.
Do stuff. And not just make noise.
Yeah. I mean, there are a few viewers watching. What I would like is some comments, some feedback, and some ideas as to what we can do going forward as a Muslim community. What role should we play? Do we complain too much? Do we just complain and not do anything? Should we be privileged to be in the UK and not complain? Do you feel confident enough? You know, like, well, I'm a citizen. Like, I can complain just as you can complain. I can complain. Like, there are so many issues going on that if you do complain, people are gonna say to you, you know, give thanks. Don't complain. But in reality, there are things in society that needs to be improved. And I was going to get onto this thing of kids and the internet, and there's just so much things going on that Muslims have to play a role. If we don't play a role, who's going to play a role? Otherwise, as you said, we're just going to sit down amongst ourselves and complain about society and not do any change.
Yeah.
And not change anything. So either we've got to step up or shut up, innit?
So inshallah, next week we've got enough to talk about. Inshallah, next week.
Yeah. So yes, mashallah, very insightful. I think, mashallah, it was a good reflection. We need to reflect on the blessings, the ni'mah, which we can't even count, that we have, and that
100%.
will humble us. And as you said, another thing, stick to the Quran, read the Quran as much as possible. That will set you straight, inshallah.
And also we see
Ustaz,
the biography of the Messenger of Allah, studying their lives and how they struggled to establish
dealt
deen.
with.
That's also part of that, yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, one thing comes to mind is when is it the battle of not was it Khandaq, when they asked when will the help of Allah come? Like, you know, at that particular point they was being tested, you know, and this, you know, obviously the it's like the salvation of the makhraj is just there, innit? It's just about having patience and prayer. Stick to patience and prayer, and then inshallah Allah's help will come. Okay, Sheikh Muawiyah, jazakallah khair once again for your insight, and we'll see you next week, inshallah. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.